So 50k should be enough, shouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, of course, mate.
Yeah, just enough to get this. Oh, hi everybody. No, I'm joking, of course. This is Josh. Yeah, it was 100k, of course, by the end of a week, or else. Or else. Oh, it's Josh of Atypical Life here, and I'm here with Robin, also known as social media handles, RobinSpace, Space Boyd, many other things. Probably got a sus name on Discord. Go on, tell us your socials.
Space Boyd on most social medias. You can easily find me. Literally, there's no one else called Space Boyd, so.
It's a very interesting name. I'll quickly go on a tangent and ask how you came up with that.
Literally, my handle used to be RobinSpace, and I thought I want something with a bit more personality. It stands out, so I literally put space and bird together, which I usually put as a handle, and thought I'll have a bit of fun with it. I'll call it Boyd, and it's stuck ever since.
Boyd.
So now, like, people just think Boyd and like, oh, I know who that is. Because there's no one else out here named Boyd. So
see, I thought you were going to say that you just got someone from New York to say it. You know what I'm saying? From Brooklyn,
yeah, totally. Right? I flew all the way down there, maybe before the pandemic and everything, and just said, "Hey, mate, just say Boyd." Oh yeah, you say Boyd, ain't it, buddy?
We could be talking about your wonderful art Insta. Go and follow. We could be talking about your wonderful Twitter. Go and follow. But no, we're talking about your YouTube channel because it's about to be launched and it's about to be accompanied by a wonderful short film. But I admittedly don't know an awful lot about it yet. So I thought this video would be a great way to tell the world about it, get the word out there. Let's start with the basics. What on God's green earth is it called?
Well, if you want the full name, technically it's called Pilot Wings, a short film. But most of the time you can usually just call it Pilot Wings, honestly.
Absolutely. Oh, it was like Doctor Who, the movie. We know what it is. Come on. We know what it is.
No, it's Doctor Who, the movie, the video game, the book adaptation.
The mobile exclusive.
Published by EA.
Microtransaction for the sonic screwdrivers.
No, microtransaction for each Doctor.
Do you know what? I'd be a sucker and probably pay for it. So, with this, I know for a fact this has been a project of yours throughout the pandemic, really. You thought of these ideas long before you started animating it, so there's a great big long story for this. Obviously, birds have been a massive part of your art style, first and foremost, so where did that link come in and how did you choose the bird aesthetic, I guess?
Honestly, it's always been just fascination with birds, honestly. Like, I can't really pinpoint it. It's like when you just have a certain fascination with something and you fixate on it. That was me with birds, and
it clearly stuck. It clearly did, because a lot of your pieces generally about birds and especially robins, right? And somehow this evolved into some characters. This evolved into a story, and this is an idea. Correct me if I'm wrong on this. You had this idea probably first about 2 years ago, is that right?
Pretty much, yeah. It was in like baby steps back then, because it's not only like a final project I have as a thesis film from college to leave with that I've been working on, but it's more evolved into a passion project now.
Yeah, absolutely. So that process has been long, because I can specifically remember you showing me like your drawing of robins first, and I can remember that being probably near enough, because it was when we were still meeting up and stuff. So this must have been coming up to 2 years ago. So I guess what I'm asking now is, at what stage did you think this can be a film? This can be a piece of media that I can make?
Honestly, like I said, it started off with like college, so it was like, what can we do for the final thing? And first idea was do a bunch of short animations to build up a portfolio, but then kind of evolved into like a big film. Like, instead of doing short things, why not just put all the stuff I've learned into this one big project? And
great big
that's how the film came to be.
Yeah, that's incredible. And it's a great way to showcase, again, as you said, everything you sort of learned upon that course. I know you were on it for a long time. Before we go any further, I think for the audience and people who can go and watch this film, it will be in the description below. Describe the plot. Not to put you on the spot, but, bullet point it however you wish. Every detail now!
Every single detail. Okay, so the opening shot's this.
Let me get the storyboards, mate.
Let me just pull them off right here. Basically, I'd say the premise is like, well, we all know birds are meant to fly. And well, the basic story is that we're following this little robin called Birdbrain. And every year there's a great migration, obviously. So everyone all flies away from the winter. And unfortunately for him, he's never been able to fly. So he's never been able to like go off and see the world with everyone. He's always been stuck in one place. So he's basically trying to learn his own lesson to fly and join everyone before the next great migration comes.
Yeah.
And can you do it? You have to go and watch the film to find out.
We ain't gonna tell you. We ain't gonna tell you. Yeah. Come on now. We're still a filmmaking kid. Now, in that sense, as you drove this, if you drove this idea along, I imagine you wrote a script. I believe you're the writer of it. Is that right? Yeah. Wonderful. And from my understanding, a lot of this is just your passion project, right? I get the next question I have for you is, how involved are you in this? Is it every single level? Have you had a lot of help along the way? If so, who's helped you? I think they deserve some credit too.
I'd say majority of it is responsibly me, because doing animating it, literally gathering voice actors and everyone and all that. But the basic starter was, I wanted to have it, the Birdbrain wants to learn to fly, but we needed that reason why. So my previous tutor at the college, Janet Brandon, she's wonderful help I had back when I was learning. She helped me to come up with the idea, like, well, what if there's a migration? And we both like, that's the hook. We've got it now.
Yeah.
And obviously thanks to her, I learned animation, and I'm honestly thankful for it, because having a really passionate teacher was something that helped push me along a 100%. Great deal, 100%. Especially during the pandemic.
Oh, absolutely. You know me personally, I've had some fiery tutors in my time, so big up Phil Myler if you're watching.
Like, Phil.
Yeah, it's one of them. Some people push you creatively, and some people can bring the best out of you and give you things you never thought you had. And it sounds like you had a good teacher in that sense. On the acting front, then, I have a feeling you didn't voice everybody unless you were really exhausting your vocal cords. So who did you actually get in?
Well, I do voice Nick myself, because I couldn't have the nightmare of finding a voice actor for everyone, unfortunately.
Of course.
So I did try this at the start. Like, I'll put a casting call out there behind the voice actors for Birdbrain. It were people who got close, but to me it was like, if I can close my eyes and hear that voice, that's when I know it's the character. Like, I'll hear the voice, I'll be like, okay, I get it. Like, I hear this is how you would picture them. But if I close my eyes and hear that voice and I see them saying it, that's the voice I have.
There you go.
And I tried that with Birdbrain, and honestly, I don't want to sound mean. Like, there were some wonderful auditions, but
yeah,
I just felt like if anyone knows Birdbrain the best, it's the creator.
Of course.
So I obviously voiced Birdbrain in it, and I've got a few other wonderful voice actors on board. Like, I'll just pull some of the names up now, so I make sure they get the credit they deserve.
Of course, that's what we need. But on the note of, you're right on the money with that about characters needing the right voice. especially in an animated show. It's so important.
It's one of them, like, sometimes a character doesn't even need the character, you just know them for the voice.
Exactly.
Like, you know Mickey Mouse, you know SpongeBob from their voices. You don't even need to see them. You're like, oh, I know who that is. I know who that is.
You know Patrick Warburton before you even see what his character looks like.
Literally.
Hey.
Hey. It's me, Patrick Warburton.
Couldn't get him in.
Unfortunately not, but he was too busy for it. Sent him an email. He's like, I'm sorry, I can't voice characters.
I'm just imagining a Robin speaking like Patrick Warburton now.
A small American Robin, like, hello. Probably how he sounds in his head sometimes.
Of course.
But I do have some very talented voice actors. Like, one of the leading roles is Twitter handler is at Little Red Hen 42. Christy Sutar. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But she was a wonderful voice for one of the other characters in it called Jenny. And
wonderful.
She just did a bang up job. Like, honestly, perfection.
Big
also got, there's a few other minor roles, so you'll be seeing them. Like, we've got a good friend of mine called Elijah Dawkins.
Oh yeah.
He's one of the minor characters, and also Monochromic. She's also in there, so you'll get to hear them as their little roles in a very key scene in the film.
Fantastic. Now, if you guys are watching, there you are. There's your credit. You absolutely deserve it.
Honestly, again, film couldn't come to life without them.
And on that front, I sound like I'm just pushing along. I'm really not. I'm really interested by all of this.
You've got to keep the train moving. I get it.
Exactly. I'm very interested because I've made many a film before. Never made a good film, but I've made many a film before. Yeah, I've never made an anime. I've never made an animated feature before. What is that process like? What did you use? How did you find it? Because I can't imagine you've done too many animated pieces before this. So it was really throwing yourself into the deep end, right?
Honestly, people think, like, you'll probably know this if you watch this. You'll probably know animation isn't easy. It's not just like that. The process was pretty much, I'd say, like most films, like, you have your script, you do a storyboard, I'd imagine, to show where to go, and from that we make an animatic, which is basically animating the storyboards, putting them up and timing them up, and then literally just we start animating from there.
Wow.
And it's not an easy process. Like, this film's took just under 2 years of development, like almost a whole year of animating just to get it done for like 3 minutes of animation. But that shows how hard the process is. A whole year for just 3 minutes.
And this is going to be a bit of an obvious question, but has that given you a bit of an appreciation when you watch things now, just to how
I've always had an appreciation with it. It's what made me want to be an animator, because I was like, I want to do that. I want to make that happen myself.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I asked you this deliberately because I know how big of a fan you are of, let's say, Disney and a lot of their animated features. Do you have a particular inspiration to how, A, stylistically, B, narrative-wise, how you wanted this to turn out?
Honestly, it will sound strange, being that I was born in the 90s.
Yeah.
1930s animation and 1920s. I love rubber hose animation, like Fleischer Studios, early Disney, Looney Tunes, Betty Boop, Felix the Cat, Popeye. All those are my biggest inspirations. And you can probably tell with how I design characters, like, limbs are never like this. They're always like bent and they wobble like and stuff, and they stretch around and like don't feel pain whenever that happens. But they're honestly the main inspiration I've had.
I hope, and again, just looking at it, that really has come through. And for the fact that I'm not exposing you when I say you didn't have a massive budget for this. I hope I'm not saying exposing you.
Literally just relying on student funds to help pay for the animation program, and that's it.
Yeah. And from that, you really can't. You can't get better than what you've done in that sense for the money you've spent. You've really gone above and beyond with it, and with the resources you've had, if I may say so myself, you've really got the most out of it. You've squeezed blood from a stone.
Honestly, like, even if it wasn't with Toon Boom, I'd try with something else. Like, if I had a camera and just some models, I'd make full stop motion. Because honestly, with a tiny budget, you just need a camera and a small idea, and you can make a stop motion film.
You look at a lot of things that people started their careers with, like the test animations for certain amazing shows now. Like, there's always the infamous story that Thomas's original idea was made very cheaply. You know, I think what this will do is this will show people that you have the ability, and this will show people that you are passionate about this, because you are. And this will show that creative mind at work. And you don't get that if your first project is like $1 million thing. You have to start with something that's modest, I think.
The thing with the film is, it's when I started off a bit earlier learning animation. So as it goes on, you can see it improve. Like, the first half will still look on model. All the characters will look the same, but you'll see the animation gradually getting better and better. And that was me finding my footing with how I worked.
That will be a wonderful thing to see, and hopefully you carry it on into the future, in future projects. Which I must ask, do you have it? I know you don't want to get, you've literally just finished something. We're recording this the day before you throw it out, aren't we? So when I word this, I don't want you to be stressing, but are you thinking of doing anything else in the future, animation wise?
Hopefully, at the moment, trying to earn a master's in animation. But if that's not the case, I want to try and work in a studio. This film is my calling card.
Yeah. Fantastic. Listen, people who are watching this, hire the guy. Hire this person.
Because honestly, this was what I want the film to be, just a calling card for me. Like, hey, this is what I can do. I did this all by myself.
Yep.
Here you go. If this doesn't show what I'm capable of, then what do you want me to do? A handstand on a unicycle?
I mean, get dressed and drag and do the hula, right? That's it. There's no better advertisement of someone's skill than just going, I made this. This is mine.
I did it. It's the precious.
Oh my. And we're good.
I do have future plans for Bird Brain and Jenny.
Oh, good.
I'm not just using them for one thing. They're basically like my Mickey Mouse. Like, I want to use them wherever I can.
I'd love, because I've seen you experiment with the idea of comics before.
Just saying, it's not going to be the last you're going to see of these two. Might not be in the same timeline, because Pilot Ones is his own separate thing, but I'm just saying, this isn't the last you're going to see of Bird Brain.
I very much look forward to that. And once again, what channel can we find this on again? I'm giving you every opportunity to launch everything at this camera.
Literally, my channel is Space Boyd. It will have the film right there, and hopefully a few more animated stuff in the future, like my portfolio and all that. Like, I'm not saying don't expect too much, because but whenever I can, I'll upload stuff on there.
Right in the description below is where you'll find this, and
I just want you to enjoy the film. That's really what I was after.
Before we go, because I completely forgot to ask this like a dolt, you, when you've made this film, as we sort of alluded to, you sort of made this over the course of the pandemic. Now, in a lot of filmmaking, it would be very hard to make something during a pandemic. I feel like you're in a unique situation where it may have actually helped you. I don't know if this is the case, but it might have helped you because you've been in more, you've been able to sit at the computer a lot more than maybe you would have in other circumstances. Has the pandemic helped or hindered this film, would you say?
It was kind of both.
Okay.
Like, it was because, you couldn't obviously have the feedback of like our peers coming in and be like, does this look good? You have to, send off an email or arrange like a meeting on Teams or something. But it honestly, I looked at the idea of the pandemic by just focusing solely on this.
Great.
Like, just wake up every day and just be like, I've got something to do. Because I get people would get up sometimes and be like, I've got nothing to do now. All my plans are derailed. But I wake up and like every day take a step towards the finish line, and that's what really drove me. And I think the pandemic kind of helped in a way because I could just literally get up from my bed over there, sit at my computer and just work. Because I was, every time, if I was traveling to college, I'd just be like, I want to be there now. I just want to work. Because I might sound like a workaholic, but it's just because I'm passionate about this film.
Yeah. And there's very few things in life that will have you that level of engrossed, but when it's your own thing and it's something that you want to do, I feel like there's nothing that can stop you, as cheesy as that sounds. Like, it's what everyone has, something that drives them, and there ain't a force on earth that can stop that, not a pandemic, not anything else. And I think that's a lovely sort of note to finish this on, guys. Like, work on what you love and keep doing that. Before I sort of cry and become like a freaking movie cliche mess. Yeah.
Working on something you love, it's the best thing you can do. Because this is just me speaking from the heart. Every time I do the tiniest thing on this, it was a step closer to the finish line. And we're here now in 2021. I started this film like 2 years ago, and I'm at the finish line, and it's such a rewarding feeling.
So glad to hear
if
that.
it's animated or not, whatever it is, once you hit that finish line, it's
100%. And the only other thing I have to say is thank you for choosing this this obscure little channel to help promote your film. Like, now I'm off to go and interview some real people.
Yeah, people who work on Doctor Who, a very terrible TV show.
you automatically have like an advantage in that you haven't worked on Doctor Who. Like, that's such a positive, All right, we'll see you all very soon. Go and check out this film. The link will be in the description. All of your socials will be in the description. And yeah, enjoy. It'll be wonderful.